that the 5 of us here today, and 8 of us in total, including Senators McCain, Durbin, Graham, Menendez, Rubio, Flake, and Bennett, have come together on a set of bipartisan principles for comprehensive immigration reform legislation that we hope can pass the Senate in overwhelming and bipartisan fashion.
Brevemente, lo que quiero decir es que yo creo que lo que oímos muchas veces de las personas en el país es que enforzar las leyes es importante.
For the past 9 months, I've been driving around the country showing one film and making another, both about immigration. I thought I was finished, but then 2 days ago, terrorists set off deadly bombs at the Boston Marathon. I told Rudy Giuliani this sort of thing would happen, and unfortunately, it will again. And that's why I'm driving to an immigration conference in Washington, D.C. I need to film one more scene for this documentary. It will include me looking Senator Rubio straight in the face and asking him why he's pushing an immigration bill without first securing the borders. The Gang of 8 are chasing the so-called Latino vote, while everything our fathers fought for just floats away. Not me. I know amnesty for 11 million people sends us off the cliff. But then again, who am I? I played every day until I was 15, and then my father left. Somehow my dream went with him. I barely graduated high school and I skipped college. Eventually I got my act together and I built a business with 200 employees. But never once did I check if any of them had legal status. Then one day I ran for my life. Suddenly, money meant very little. By 2010, I had changed careers. My first film was about finding one's purpose in life. It stars Christy Brinkley and Alec Baldwin. I sold out the festival.
Who wouldn't like to see Christy Brinkley come down here right now?
But I never released the film to the public, and here's why. Earlier in the day, instead of driving past that guy like I had a million times before, I decided to stop.
Because it is just a bunch of greedy son of a guns trying to make out for themselves, try to do better for themselves, than not looking out for this country, and that's wrong. It's country first, and everybody else's wallet second, you know? We got guys dying for us right now in Iraq and Afghanistan. How dare we just let these guys take our citizenship as if they got it out of a Cracker Jacks box?
I felt guilty about my greedy past, and his words made me think of Joseph Hunt, the man who died saving my father's life in Vietnam. And so I said this.
We're starting tomorrow, actually. We're doing a project on the cost of illegal immigration. And it's not from a Republican side, it's not from a Democrat side, it's from the side of where you sit at your television and say, what the hell is going on?
I held opening night a few months before the 2012 elections.
I think we let in another 15 people. I'd be careful.
Yeah, there's like 100, Dennis. You gotta get a bigger theater.
But Hollywood and the mainstream media slammed the door in my face.
How does the Tribeca Film Festival put up a film, a documentary, about men grooming themselves versus something about illegal immigration and national security? I can't understand that. Where has our common sense gone?
To console my bruised ego, I launched a one-man national tour.
In my '97 Jeep.
And that's when I started to change. I'm not talking about the extra 30 pounds I've gained. The change is this. My drive is no longer about my film being ignored. It's about the politicians pretending you're not there. I've seen and felt too much. I will never forget the Americans.
So no matter what city, state, didn't matter. One of the scenes that the crowds always loved the most was you chasing the politicians.
Doesn't surprise me. That's old school journalism, and sadly, you don't see that anymore.
No.
What's your next stop on the tour?
Honestly, I'm supposed to go to San Antonio, but I think I'm just going to cancel because I'm just too tired to drive back.
Well, you should have gone on your way back from Arizona.
You know, I had to get back here quick because of the storm. Mary and the kids lost the electric.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you, my friend, you missed some storm. I've never seen anything like Sandy.
I know. I'm figuring my father's neighborhood got destroyed.
I thought you didn't talk to your dad anymore.
I don't. But you know what? He lives in Breezy Point, so I saw the news clips.
Oh, I got to tell you, my friend, Breezy Point is gone. Let's sit down. I want you to tell me from the beginning everything about the tour. And did you get that stupid radio fixed?
No, I didn't.
What the heck do you listen to during all those miles?
Today is the first stop in a 50-state tour. Thank you.
It is so nice to see all of your faces here tonight, and I mean all of your faces here tonight. We have those of us who are going to be cheering, but we also have folks here tonight who disagree with us. We welcome you here tonight to have a discussion if that's what you would like to have, but please let us have our opinions here this evening as well. And I do ask that you stand for the pledge.
Made a mistake.
Did you go to college? Why don't you educate people the right way instead of being biased? Don't misinform people. You're just hurting the American public.
My answer is you should go back in and watch the rest of the film.
No, because that thing shouldn't be screening. You're being completely racist. This isn't even a film.
And they called you a racist.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
It made me feel like I could explain things to them in a way they never heard before.
Let's dialogue.
Okay.
Let's
What's
talk.
your name?
Sebastian, nice to meet you.
Sebastian.
Let's talk. My name is Pierre. I'm a filmmaker as well.
Nice.
We're not here to offend
don't talk to
anyone.
you.
We're not here to do anything. I just want to know why you're misinforming people.
Yeah, you want some water?
Sebastian, you can't say that to me until you watch the whole film. Come tomorrow to Rockville. Sit next to me. Sit next to me. And then after the film is over, if you still feel like you want to have this conversation in this sort of tone, I'll have it with you. But as long as this happens, I'm not talking to you. You wouldn't shake my hand. As long as this continues like this, it's never, ever gonna get solved.
And
Let me tell you something.
As long as you're misinforming people, it's
Sebastian,
always going to keep going
Sebastian,
like this.
when
sir.
you
It's
said you
not
go to
about
Maryland. You
it's
said you
not
go to
about
Maryland. You said you go to
Hispanic
Maryland.
people.
You said-
It's not about Hispanic
it's
people.
about
It's about
illegal-
all races.
it's
It's
about
not
all
about
races,
illegals.
right.
If it was about
about
illegals, then you
illegal
would have
immigration.
reported more than Hispanic people.
You
This is
walked out
prejudice-
after 5 minutes, Sebastian. I
No,
can't talk anymore.
This is more. No,
you-
okay.
go to
then
Rockville tomorrow. Go to
Tomorrow
Rockville.
after the film. Let's talk after the film.
You got my man's word.
Okay. Thank you.
I've often said Frederick County, with having a reputation of being the most unfriendliest county to illegals in the state of Maryland, we take pride in that. Why wouldn't we take pride in that? If Montgomery County or Baltimore City or those other jurisdictions want to allow their communities to be deteriorated by crime, having to deal with all the budgetary issues, then have at it.
Do you have situations right now where you have multiple families living in one home?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Many locations.
If the amnesty passes, do you see those people moving into their own homes?
I don't see any more additional opportunities here for these people to purchase their own homes and get mortgages, but I see an influx of people who are going to make these neighborhoods worse in terms of, you know, over cohabitating.
Really?
Yeah.
And we should be talking about residency, not citizenship.
I mean, so if you decide to run for governor, I mean, how will you overcome the fact of when the people are screaming out that you're a racist?
Do you believe in the Constitution or not? Do you not believe in the rule of law?
If we're going to save this country, the hell with what's politically correct. Let's do our jobs.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know, I want to say something. I mean, while you were watching the film, I went outside and tried to speak to those, I guess, students who walked out. And right away, they start arguing with me. You're against immigrants. I said, you gotta stop saying that. It's immigrants and illegal immigration. They just want to go like this because the only argument there is you're a racist. And if you throw that out, then what?
That's sad. Because had they stayed here, they might have seen something other than what they've been fed.
Yeah.
They believe this stuff.
Because the first step in solving this problem is diffusing the race card.
Well, you're aiming awfully high, my friend.
I'm aiming for the target, and I'll tell you why. Because when you're on the road by yourself for 12,000 miles, all you have is think time. And I've come to realize that I have faced this problem from more perspectives than anyone else. I can solve this problem.
I gotta ask you, Dennis, why are you so driven?
I've asked myself that about 1,000,000 times, and ultimately it comes down to one guy. His name is George. Since Romney lost the election, a lot of GOP members are screaming amnesty. Do you think that that is a major mistake?
You know what? There are many Latinos that feel just as strongly about this issue as conservatives like myself. They need to search deeper as to why Latinos did not support them. And it's not because you did not grant amnesty to them. Amnesty is never the answer for any demographic in this country.
I got lost today on the way to the radio, and I drove through Park Heights. And a guy, black guy, pulls up next to us, and he says, "Oh, you're right in the right area." He says, "You're looking for bad. It don't get any worse than this." How are we ever going to get back on our feet?
I said it don't make no sense the way these houses are all boarded up. It's like every other house in Baltimore is boarded up. You go on North Avenue, it don't make no sense.
Where do you think the tax money's going?
I can't exactly tell you where the tax money going. All I know is it ain't going in my pocket.
We have so many problems in this country in terms of a huge underclasses, wage disparity. We've become more and more a nation of haves and have-nots. All of these have been accelerated by our massive immigration. And right now, we have leaders who don't think about that at all.
I'm driving around, I'm seeing people sit on porches. People who should be working are sitting on porches. And you know, the first thing that comes to mind is these people want to collect. You know, they're getting the free thing. I know, maybe. But do you know anybody who really wants to spend their life sitting on a porch? No. So we're giving money to the people who are coming in here illegally. And we got people in our own backyard who are living a life that I can't believe I just saw that in America today. I can't stand by and watch those people sitting on porches. That's not the way this country was built.
If we give millions of illegal aliens amnesty, what this will do is to dump tens of millions of competing workers into a labor pool that can't find work now. The Labor Department used to run immigration prior to the Second World War. That's how we built the middle class, to shield American workers from unfair foreign competition.
All right, 2 more questions. I think I've said that 5 times.
One more question and that's it.
All right, see, I keep moving over here because I know she's going to hit me sooner or later. All right, make it a good one. Let's go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to thank you on behalf of all the construction workers who have lost their jobs, their life savings, their self-dignity, their self-worth because of this. My husband is one of them. There is nothing for my husband. They cannot compete. Justice has got to be there for the American citizens. We stand behind you, Dennis, and I hope, Prince, that you run for office.
I have goosebumps right now. I'm with you 100%.
Keep waiting to vote, Dennis.
Americans feel as if we're taking care of non-U.S. citizens before we're taking care of our own. Why is that?
Part of it is, it's an impression that the government gives. They go out of their way to try to show how compassionate they are,
to show how we are concerned about people all over the world, how we are not going to turn our backs on people who have come across the border. And the person who's most often forgotten is the average man, the average woman trying to live in a safe neighborhood, in a decent house, and get their kids through school. These people have no lobbyists in Washington. They're just basically on their own. They feel that way, and justifiably so.
That is unacceptable.
I've talked about how I've got thrown into this. I'm going to share with you a personal story. It always gets me, so I'll apologize in advance. My father was a Vietnam veteran. He's a 1-9 Marine, known as the Walking Dead. He is the most proud Marine I think I've ever met in my life. Unfortunately, Vietnam beat him up. And he was an alcoholic, he was never right, parents got divorced. And because he is the way he is, I haven't spoke to him in decades. Decades. It has destroyed our family, for the sense that my mother, my brother, myself, my father, we were just making this movie and seeing what's going on in this country was the first time that I was no longer mad at my father. Not happy about the way that he handled situations, but I respect the fact that he gave his life, maybe not through death, almost worse than if he had given it through death. He's given his life for this country. And I can tell you this, I'll make this promise to you, unless I physically get hurt, well, I'm not gonna quit, because I'm not gonna take this bullshit, and I ain't gonna take a lot of the other stuff that's going on.
Let's give it up for Dennis, everybody.
I appreciate it.
Do you know how many illegal aliens that we have in this state of Maryland alone?
No.
295,000.
Listen, you got to times that number by 2 to 5. The thing there is going on with these illegals is that they show up at their rallies. They've got hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. Congress works on numbers. If I don't see hundreds of people at this thing tonight, I can only feel so bad. We can only feel so bad.
Come back and give us the results.
Well, that's if I don't get shot. Oh, man. All right.
America is a nation of laws. It is our rule of law which really separates us from the rest of the world. It provides an infrastructure that gives people the opportunity to realize what they call the American dream. There was a time during the history of our country when American blacks who looked like me, while they had it right in the Constitution that all men are created equal in the sight of God, many of our founders did not live it out in principle. Slavery. Racism card is something that makes white men very uncomfortable. If you really want to really insult and offend someone, call them a racist.
Why do you have so much contempt for your audience?
They cannot use the card of racism because they're not being discriminated. They're being criticized because what they do is obfuscate the law.
If you don't want to be called racist, you need to stop denying that you're racist. Not to say you are.
Okay. Now wait, whoa.
These illegals have no idea what racism is. Racism is being told, I can rape your mother and your daughter, and there's nothing you can say about it.
And I was born in Guatemala.
Yes.
Your statement offend me, because I am not.
Racism is being told to give up your seat, and the only seat that you could possibly have is on the back seat of the bus.
They are coming to take away the things that belong to the people in this country.
To even try to put their cause at the same level, that kind of ugly racism where people lost their life, lost their livelihoods, were killed generations deep, is laughter. It's laughter.
All right, look, let me come back to lead this. I've always been good at doing one thing. I've had this uncanny way of being able to pull people together. And I think it's because I will just be dead honest with you. I started this as a hungry filmmaker. I mean, I'm 43 at the end of the month. I made my first movie with Alec Baldwin, who I don't like very much. And, but anyway, I mean, that's never come out yet because I started making this. And I've gone from being that hungry filmmaker to a very concerned citizen. So I'm going to ask here, and I want honesty. Does anybody hate these people? Okay. Who here hates the general concept of illegal immigration? Raise your hand. The general concept. Okay. The fact of the matter is there are other than Latino in our country who are here illegally. So I want to say I'm sorry to you for the sake that you would even think that, I called central casting and said, give me the latitude and longitude of every Hispanic you could possibly can. In fact, the person I shot at the rally was Filipino. And there were Arabic people standing next to them as well. So I don't think the argument is completely there, but I think if I were Latino and I was standing over there, maybe I wouldn't be able to see a Filipino girl on there right now.
This is not a racial, it is a cultural issue.
First of all, I'd like to say that, the same way that you guys said you don't hate us, we don't hate you. And we'd just like to say that this is such a great moment for us to be here, to dialogue, because this is what the community needs, We need to open our thoughts. Even us, ourselves, sometimes we say, and we have, even, I admit to it, sometimes there's prejudice. We say they might hate us, they might look down upon us because of walking into yesterday's movie theater and being called out.
So when the movie ends, everybody leaves, and standing behind my car are 10 of the protesters. And they said, Mr. Lynch, we forgot to ask you if we could take a picture with you.
I would call that an amazing turnaround.
If 12 million illegal immigrants are granted amnesty, do you believe there will be a racial backlash against them?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
How long would you say that that's going to last?
We have no idea. It could last so long, and it would just erode all the progress that has been made. My daily radio show is like a laboratory, and so many American blacks call into the show, advocating why do we sympathize and why are we so weak in our immigration policy. And this myth that they don't want to do the jobs is an outrage. The media spins it. Everybody begins to believe that this is the case. If you go to the Deep South, illegals are actually taking jobs away. I mean, this is not something that you need to walk a tightrope on. You just need to call a spade a spade.
I've been on unemployment for 7 months. I'm tired of unemployment. I want a job.
Nobody wants to displace a willing American worker, but I can tell you in South Carolina there are certain jobs as an employer you can advertise all day long, every day of the week, and you're not going to get that workforce. I want it to be a win-win where somebody overseas can come here temporarily and improve their life and help our employers. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, yes.
Okay.
Well, obviously there are a lot of folks still out of work or either underemployed and want to do better. We know that there's a lot more people looking for work than there are jobs to fill.
I'm looking for a job for a few months now, but it's hard to find full-time work around here.
I'm applying for jobs that I never anticipated looking for before.
How long have you been looking for a job?
I've been looking for a job for the past year.
What kind of a job?
Anything available.
No jobs available. I haven't been able to find any, and I was looking earnestly for 2 years.
Well, what do you think is going to happen if 11 million illegal immigrants are now allowed to compete for the same jobs?
Bringing more immigrants in is going to make it worse than it already is.
I'm all about us making it over here first before we can take care of someone else. I think that's the important thing.
I've been seeing a lot of companies hiring illegal immigrants, paying them off the books cash, and they don't even look toward us because they can make more money for themselves and pay all these immigrants less money.
I just want a job. That's it. Give Americans a chance first. Give us a chance. You got hard-working people out here.
You mean you don't want to collect welfare?
No.
Why? Why not?
It's not a living. I like honest living.
How does it make you feel when you have to deposit, when you have to use that welfare check?
It's degrading. I lost all respect. My wife don't respect me no more because I don't have a job.
Have you ever seen a better opportunity than the moment that exists today to pass comprehensive immigration reform.
No, this is the moment.
We improve our economy, and we deal with real people who have real problems.
I couldn't say it better than you just did.
Thank you.
Senator Graham, you are out of touch. You need to get out here to some of these job fairs and get out into the community and see what's really going on. Senator Graham, go to an unemployment agency or office and see what's all the people that be standing outside.
So Wendy's, you couldn't get a job at Wendy's?
No, I got 13 years in it. The manager told me I was overqualified to take his job. I told him I didn't want his job, I wanted a job.
Senator Lindsey Graham just came out and said that you folks pretty much don't want jobs. Yeah, this is your senator.
I want it to be a win-win where somebody overseas can come here temporarily.
Why would they do that? Have somebody come over and take over what we...
Do you hear what he just said?
Is that a gimmick, you think?
Is that a gimmick? No, he did this in a Senate hearing.
Oh.
You know, there's 11 million illegal immigrants right now in the country.
Yep.
He wants to give those illegal immigrants citizenship so this way they could also compete against you in these jobs.
They're already getting the jobs. Yeah, they're done getting it.
They're already getting the jobs?
Yes. We need these jobs for our family, or we wouldn't be here. That's right.
If the funds run out for unemployment and welfare and stuff of that nature, what are you folks going to do?
We'll be out on the streets. We'll be out on the streets, and they'll take my kids.
They're going to have more issues with the homeless now than they have.
Yeah. I'll be out on the street with my 12-year-old boy in a truck.
If you got people coming to this country illegally, and then you got people coming over the summer here, like from Russia and all the different places, we don't have a chance.
Legalization almost certainly will increase the fraction of Americans who face job competition, because right now illegals are limited in the kind of jobs that they can do. Like they don't do security guard work, for example, but now they would. Or like delivery for UPS and FedEx. They don't do those jobs right now, partly because those employers check backgrounds. Once legalized, though, those jobs would be fair game.
How would you advise we the people to fight against amnesty?
I disagree with your characterization as far as amnesty is concerned. 77% of the American people support a path to citizenship.
And what's interesting is when you look at the polling data, it's Democrats, Independents, and Republicans who agree with that. People in the North, East, South, and West agree with that.
Where do they get this polling information from? Because I don't believe any of it. Who are they asking? Only Fox News will cover the truth about this topic.
The journalists today have become very mainstream media has become very liberal.
Folks, not one elected official was here tonight. Not one. Next time you see them, ask them where they were, because we've been promoting this for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Not one reporter. Next time you see them, ask them where they were.
John, I called a buddy of mine at a magazine and said, why is it that Time magazine will put illegals on the cover, and yet I'm packing out theaters on Tuesday nights, and I can't get even an article? You know what he told me? Dennis, the rule of law doesn't sell magazines. Oh, you know, what does? What do I gotta do? Do I need a new trailer? What do I need? You know what he tells me? You gotta spice it up. It's gotta be more interesting. What's more interesting than Americans are out of work, the country is dangling off a cliff?
I think the problem is we have politicians and media who will not do the job he's doing. And I want to know why there are more people like Dennis who will tell it like it is with sympathy for the immigrant and yet a cold, hard look at the facts.
Yeah, I'll tell you what they want. You know what they want, John? They want Hollywood. They want James Bond.
We run a conservative website, and we have over 100,000 fans on Facebook. We ran a survey that just basically asked amnesty or no amnesty.
And there were 2,000 people who responded. The majority of our responders were women, and 97% of those responses were no way. This is the compassionate sex, right? The compassionate gender. They're absolutely opposed to it.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We're having a debate. Amnesty or no amnesty?
For the people coming into the country?
Yeah. No amnesty?
Regular people don't want amnesty.
It's all about messaging. The GOP sucks at messaging. Conservatism needs a makeover.
I mean, I'm talking to my friends now. They're like, what happened to you? I'm like, no, you don't understand. I've been touring this country, guys. You know, no more of sitting and just worrying about ourselves. There's more to being American than putting a flagpole in your backyard and having the flag wave. To throw myself in the ocean. How sad is that?
Dennis Lynch, Mark Levin would call you a Paul Revere. You're saying, wake up, America. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So in the years since, borders first. Borders first. That's become the common refrain, even among those who were previously supportive of comprehensive immigration reform.
Were you at the RNC? In Tampa?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Right.
There were snipers on the roofs. There were National Guardsmen. There were sheriffs. Right. I mean, that place was locked down. Why not do the same thing for our border?
Well, it would be expensive, but we should do it. I mean, I'm giving you the reasons why they say that we can't afford it, or it also gives too much an appearance of being militarized. Yeah. Again, that's the political correctness. I know it's hard for a normal person to understand what that means, but basically it's you don't want to offend someone's sensibilities. Somehow people say by us having a wall, for instance, and us having troops to keep out illegal immigrants, they compare us to East Berlin and the Berlin Wall, which is insane. But it's that type of mentality.
You know, they said we needed to triple the Border Patrol. Or now they're going to say we need to quadruple the Border Patrol. Or they'll want a higher fence. Maybe they'll need a moat. Maybe they want alligators in the moat. They'll never be satisfied.
Let me welcome Dennis Lynch, who literally just drove 1,100 miles to be a part of today's broadcast. Driving 1,100 miles solo, by yourself. Have you lost your mind?
I made you a commitment I'd be here, and I'm here.
A man's word.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
I feel a need to go down to that border and film what I can, so this way I could show the American people that despite what the President of the United States would like you to believe, our borders are wide open. And I got these specially made sunglasses to where I put them on, I click a button, and I'm recording you right now. So I have hands-free, no cameras whatsoever.
So Johnny, guys just wait in these empty spaces here and then they cross over?
Slightly, yes. If you want to get across the river into the U.S., I mean, you got a 99% chance of getting across the river and making it. It bothers me, the lack of enforcement, but you know, you want to get elected, you leave it alone. You don't want to get elected, you address it.
Are we being watched right now by pretty dangerous people?
Yes, we are.
Janet Napolitano is in charge of determining whether the borders are safe or not. So the president has basically said, hey, listen, I'm going to let Janet determine whether or not the borders are secure. That's how we're going to know. Janet Napolitano just said the other day, the border is a safe border, the border is secure. 10 being safe, 1 being open. How would you rate the border right now as of 2013?
5 or 6.
Do you think pretty bad people are crossing over the Rio into the U.S.?
Oh, absolutely.
How often?
Every day. You know, I hear of the raids and the roundup, you know, from the stash houses and stuff. And, you know, there's no doubt if terrorists want to come to the U.S., they're going to come through the southern border, because that's the very easiest place to get in and cross. There's, you know, they've caught some. Right. They got like 6 or 8 Chinese right on my dock.
No kidding.
You know, yeah.
Johnny, these guys in the cars, are they scouts for the cartels?
Yes, the scouts.
There's one after the next. It doesn't stop.
Well, they're out here almost 24/7. This section right here is probably about a 40-mile stretch of river.
Now these parks, what, there seems to be so many parks.
It's a recreational area.
They got a lot of recreation areas.
Yeah.
Now how often do the locals actually use these places?
Not very often. It's more or less big money building them for their own private use more than anything. There's pretty good cover there. Pretty good cover there.
So if I told you that they were criminals and they were coming over every day, how many police boats would you want for 40 miles of water?
Whatever it took.
What do you think it would take?
I couldn't even give you an answer on hundreds.
How many Border Patrol boats are actually patrolling at any given time?
Most of the time there's 2 all the time. Sometimes there's 3 or 4, but there's always at least 2. Very seldom are they not too far apart. Just for if something happens, one boat, they gotta back up.
Do you know how many we have on a river which looks like a snake?
I assume none.
We have 2.
So, yeah.
And they travel together in case there's a problem.
And by the way, I get along with Janet Napolitano, but obviously she would have some different views in this than I would. She would see things differently than I would, and she reports to the president. And it certainly can't be made by someone who reports to the president, because we know the president wants to say the border is secure so he can pass his legislations.
And it's basically she's evaluating her own job.
Yeah, and it's exactly.
It's like having Lance Armstrong do his own drug testing.
Okay, it's
right?
Yeah,
right?
it's an inherent conflict of interest.
Look at this. Unbelievable. Border Patrol right there, and these 2 are watching every move.
Scouts hang out and they know the game. It's just a cat and mouse game. And you're right, you don't know who's legitimate and who's not.
Now, these boats, these guys, I guess, are on a break?
They'll just be taking a break or something there.
And wait, if these guys are on a break, does that mean that there's nobody out there right now?
Yes.
Good Lord.
It's an open wound. The border is an open wound for people to get in. If 100 people a night can get in undetected, among those 100 people a night in one particular area, 3 people can be terrorists. If 1,000 people a night can get in another area, well, they're getting in. Nobody's looking at them. They could be terrorists. We just don't know.
I've heard that there are kidnappings along the Rio where Americans are taken into Mexico and never seen again. True?
Most of the time, yes.
Well, my first job as Commander-in-Chief is to keep the American people safe, and that's what we've done over the last 4 years.
Say that to the people who lost their lives in Benghazi. Say that to the Border Patrol agents who lost their lives down the border. You must take accountability. This president takes no accountability. This president pawns off everything on everybody.
Tell us how this administration is really doing a disservice and jeopardizing the well-being of Americans on this issue.
My pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the program, The Joe Pag Show, News Radio 1200 WOAI, 619 on a Tuesday. Diane's on 2. Hi, Diane. What's going on?
Hi, Joe. I work for a local financial institution, and back in 9/11, we had accounts with some of those terrorists. They had accounts with us.
Wow.
Now, this is before the Patriot Act was in place.
Right.
Now that it is in place, I'm just a lonely little employee who comes across existing people that have loans or whatever with us, and when I bring up the the driver's license, there's a discrepancy. You know what my managers tell me? Well, there's exceptions. Excuse me?
All right, so people could, let me just see if I'm understanding you right. People might be red flagged for whatever Patriot Act reason after 9/11. And if they're red flagged, then you're saying that part of the management at the institution where you work is saying, let's not worry about it. We don't want to raise a stink.
Exactly.
Come on.
I guess the big question we have to ask ourselves now is, when it comes to another 9/11 style attack, is it a matter of if or a matter of when?
If I were to have called you up on the phone on September 10th, 2001, and said, I bet you 19 people are going to hijack planes that they learned how to fly here in the United States. They're going to crash them into the Twin Towers. They're going to crash them into D.C., and they're going to try to also hit the White House, but they're going to fall short in Pennsylvania. Thousands of Americans are going to die. 19 people all on visa violations.
Right.
You would have hung up on me.
I would have asked you to lose my phone number. Don't call back again. I would have thought you were nuts. You've got fatigues on for some reason. You've got dark sunglasses. Can we say why you're dressed like that, or we probably can't do that?
No, you could say why I'm dressed like this. You just cannot say where I'm going.
Dennis Michael Lynch, thank you for stopping by, my brother. And please be safe wherever it is you're bringing your camera next.
Hold on. Americans can't go down to the border, so they rely on the news clips that they see. And the news clips they see is what's sexy.
They're in the brush, in the water, and even in the air. The Border Patrol sector continues to protect the U.S. border from violence and illegal activity.
If you pan the camera to the left or to the right, like I do, you go to a place where you see that there are no fence, there are no Border Patrol, there are no lights, but there are people coming over. I have been in camouflage with black face, hiding in bushes, seeing what's coming across the border. And I always feel a little strange when I'm doing it because it makes me look like I'm a militia, and I'm not. I'm just trying to protect myself.
So there's maybe like one group of 6 or 8 left?
Probably a couple, 2 or 3.
2 or 3 groups?
Yeah, so I guess where you're at is pretty good. If you guys spot them, just call them out.
Okay.
All right, a lot of people may pop in here and think that you guys are Rambo wannabes. You know, we're trying to relive Nam, Afghanistan, or maybe you didn't get to serve and you always wanted to serve and now you're living out your dream.
That's not us. That's not us.
Not even close.
We wear these uniforms so Border Patrol can identify us and separate us immediately from the illegals that are coming across.
We're here to support law enforcement, and we're here to protect our nation's border.
Do you think it's ridiculous at all that you have to do this?
Yes.
Oh yeah, this shouldn't be a, we shouldn't have this worry. There shouldn't have to be groups like this.
You know, if the border was safe and secure, I wouldn't be down here.
Amen.
I'd be at home with my wife and my grandkids right now, barbecuing, having a good time. But it's not.
In late 2012, there was a congressional report done, and that report stated that Hezbollah and the drug cartels of Mexico have sort of joined forces.
Yeah, they formed a partnership. It serves the drug cartel's purposes as far as money. It serves Hezbollah's purposes as far as being able to disrupt the United States.
When they're disrupting the United States, I mean...
Killing Americans.
They're looking to kill Americans.
Yeah. Hezbollah is far better than Al-Qaeda. They're far better trained, far more deadly. They are the A-team of terrorist organizations.
He's got that group of 25 apparently broke up into smaller groups. So I just talked to BP and he said he believes they're still in this pasture. We had 2 guys right there at Vic 1, so they actually may be south of Mailbox. Okay. All right?
Yeah, I would say the southern border is the main entry point for Hezbollah, yes.
Mm-hmm. Is it pretty safe to say that we have Hezbollah in our country right now?
You have to assume they're either here or they're pre-positioned on the other side of the border to come in when they want to. And we've seen it manifested when they were actually plans to carry out an assassination, a bombing attack in Washington, D.C.
So then the only way to stop that is if we have a secure border, correct?
Absolutely.
This is one of the...
off a little while ago on that road.
Yeah.
That's where we started tracking them.
Okay.
And it brought us over to here. We lost them somewhere right over in here.
Oh, see that Walmart thing there? There's still water in those jugs.
When a group of individuals like us go into the brush, we voluntarily move down a few steps on the food chain. Snakes and fairly large mountain lions, it's dangerous out there. We could run across people with long guns.
Some of the border volunteers found this guy, he was probably 30 minutes from dying, and he had documentation where he'd just been previously deported about 2 weeks prior to this event from the Polk County Jail in Livingston, Texas. So another gang member leading a big group, he was a coyote, caught out here about a month ago. That same week, 10 guys caught right out here close to our headquarters here. Some of them were MS-13. This guy's got the devil tattoo to prove it.
And even as we have stepped up patrols, apprehensions along the border have been cut by nearly 40% from 2 years ago. That means far fewer people are attempting to cross the border illegally.
Is it pretty easy to say that from what you guys see that's an inaccurate statement?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, we see it firsthand.
Last fiscal year, they had over 13,000, just the Foul Furious sector alone, apprehensions.
It's been said before that they only catch 8 to 10%. And you do the math.
Is that just the Foul Furious?
That's just Foul Furious.
That's just Foul Furious, one stop.
So a 30-mile stretch.
100,000 people a year. Multiply that by the total length of the United States border, bordering Mexico.
And speaking of how many of them had died trying. What's the body count for Brooks County this year?
123 this year.
123 people have been found dead.
That's a record.
They've been found dead.
Just this count.
Deceased woman died real close to our headquarters here, and she made it all the way to the fence, but laid down and died. Some of the volunteers found him a couple of ops ago. It looked pretty obvious this guy was probably still alive because he bled out pretty good when they plucked his eyes out.
How do you feel about the potential of terrorists?
To add to what was mentioned earlier, over 55% of those this last fiscal year, at 13,000, were OTMs. They weren't from Mexico.
Other than Mexico.
They're going to stay low-key because they want to blend in. We found a Sudanese dinar, and it was turned into the FBI.
Let's get into that congressional report. Yes or no answer. The borders are safe.
No.
Do you think that the borders are secure?
No.
Okay. Do you know if the President of the United States read that report?
I'm not aware of the President ever discussing the threat we face from Hezbollah in this country.
And Janet Napolitano, the #1 person in charge of Homeland Security and securing the border.
She's never discussed it with me.
She's never discussed it.
Yeah, these fences that are...
What did you guys find?
You know, he's got a call that said, I'm laying here on that, you know. And he went...
What's this?
Arabic or something written right there.
Oh my God.
If you have Iranian shock troops, and this has been reported by the Pentagon, if you have Iranian shock troops arriving weekly, how hard would it be for Mohammed to transform himself into Miguel, to learn the language, to become, for all intents and purposes, quote unquote, Mexican or Venezuelan, but in reality he's from the Middle East? And any amnesty program that they're discussing now would absolutely ignore all of the lessons of 9/11 and the stuff that's documented in the 9/11 Commission report.
Where'd you get this pin?
I got it from a Secret Service agent who came to one of the showings. You know, I get letters every day. Military, cops, Border Patrol agents, you know, people in uniform, retired, active, doesn't matter.
What do they say?
Each tells their own story, but at the end of the day, it's always, you know, thanks. And that leads me to a question. I need you to be dead honest with me. Did you send my father a copy of the film?
No, Dennis. The answer is no.
Somehow he got a copy, and he sent me a letter in the mail. I haven't heard from him in decades. And
So who's George?
George is a fireman who died on 9/11.
Oh, so he's a buddy.
No, he feels like a buddy, but I've never met the man.
So what's the connection?
That's a long story, but I feel like he has my back. So I take him with me on the road wherever I go.
Probably have crossed the interstate going west, or if it went straight north. Over.
How big was the group base?
The group count was substantial. That's all we can give you. It's more than a dozen. Over.
He found that hat by the highway. That's where we're going.
Now, I often hear the argument that before reform can move forward, we must first secure our borders. But too often, the border security first refrain simply serves as an excuse for failing to address the underlying problems. Our borders have, in fact, never been stronger.
Well, it's real easy to sit up on the Hill and make decisions. I don't see any of those senators or congressmen sitting down here working these borders.
I'm all right.
You know, they have no idea what's going on down here. They get a report on a piece of paper that says, well, we did this, we did that, and they look at it and go, wow, look how good we're doing.
Are you sure you want to do this? You got no backup, you got no gun.
I know. Don't worry about it. I'm going through, and we'll see if we can do it.
In 1986, the Reagan administration claimed to have come up with a solution to the immigration problem. They would give amnesty to what they estimated would be about 1 million illegal aliens, maybe 1.5 million. We wound up with almost 4 million. Fraud was a rampant issue. And what I mean by fraud is fraud where it impacted national security. You know, the politicians that won it have in their best interest to understate the numbers.
You can come out. I'm not going to hurt you.
Do the math. You could be looking at 40 million people participating in the program.
Damn it.
Within 5 years, they will then bring their families in. Within 5 years after that, you could be looking at 100 to 200 million immigrants being admitted into the United States, on top of the million plus every year that are now being admitted.
They're going to be coming out. Let me drive. Let me drive. How are we going to handle that?
We won't.
Where are you coming from?
I don't know, I lost.
You lost?
2 days.
2 days?
No food, no water, no nothing.
No?
No, yeah.
Where are you headed?
Huh?
Where are you headed?
Walking all this way.
But where are you going?
I'm going to Houston, whatever, I don't...
Houston? What's in Houston?
Whatever, I don't care, I'm going, wherever I go. I need water, food, and he's sick.
He's sick?
Last night, he almost had a heart attack.
Last night you almost had a heart attack?
Yeah, because it's all wet and everything.
Really?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Miguel.
Miguel, and what's your name?
Salvador, is my nephew.
Oh, he doesn't speak?
No.
No?
Yeah.
From the heart attack?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah?
I want to go to the hospital, too.
Really? If you go to the hospital, let me ask you a question. What are you going to tell him at the hospital?
I want to tell him he had a heart attack and everything, and I want to, like, medicine or something. Well,
medicine?
Yeah.
But the problem is he doesn't look sick.
Yeah, but he's very cold.
He's very cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you guys do? Sleep in the bushes last night?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No food, no water, nothing.
How did you come across? Did you come across the Rio?
Yeah.
You did? Did you swim or did you go on a raft?
Oh, on the swim.
You swam across?
Yeah, it's why it's so wet and everything. And he's sick, and the people left and left me there last night.
Yeah? Just the two of you, or did you come with a big group?
No, it's just me.
You guys swam across, just the two of you? Really?
Yeah.
And how did you get all the way here from the Rio Grande?
I don't know, I lost, and I'm walking for...
But how did you get here, though?
Huh?
How did you get here?
I walk.
Okay, but you know what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
These two guys are going to help you behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to give you water. They're going to give you everything you need.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right, thank you, sir.
Look, I'm a very compassionate human being. I don't care who falls down in front of me, legal, illegal, whether they're purple, blue, or yellow, it doesn't matter. At the same time as, if I were to break into your house tomorrow, would you have me arrested?
Absolutely.
You know, I represent the average, everyday guy, all right? So I'm trying to understand what you guys talk about behind closed doors, because the rest of us can't get it, okay? When you're talking to everybody in Congress, why are they saying that we're not showing compassion to people by not wanting to give amnesty?
Well, often people, if they want a program and you're against it, they say you don't have compassion. It's a phony argument. It's nothing to do with compassion.
They reported about 25, scattered about 6 or 7 groups.
Okay.
By windmill, but we checked the windmills, nothing. My partner's on the ground. You guys got it pretty much covered over here. We're gonna try to get down and push it from south.
Okay.
America must also face the rapidly growing threat from cyber attacks. Now, we know hackers steal people's identities and infiltrate private emails. We know foreign countries and companies swipe our corporate secrets. Now our enemies are also seeking the ability to sabotage our power grid, our financial institutions, our air traffic control systems.
As far as you know, who is leading the charge on cyber attacks against the U.S.?
The main one would be the Chinese. They're both the most persistent and the most effective.
Janet Napolitano said herself that her greatest fear is a cyber 9/11. Right. She said that it's almost on a daily basis that the Chinese are trying to attack and hack into our computer systems.
They're trying to hack in at every level.
Why?
There's no doubt they want to be in a position to be ultimately militarily more powerful than us, but right now to get more leverage with us.
Right. So in other words, if China wanted to go take over an entity, and we went to intervene, they could say, hey, guess what? We're going to turn off all the lights on the east coast of the United States.
That would be the implicit threat, or maybe the actual threat.
But this time of year when it's not too hot, they're moving during the day.
Do you think that causes just a greater threat as Hezbollah?
In many ways, it'd be much more deadly than Hezbollah. Hezbollah cannot wipe out the United States. China is a superpower, potential to be more of a superpower, and obviously if they could hack into our cyber systems, yeah, they're absolutely devastating.
Okay. I have a truck full of Mexicans, a truck full of Chinese, and a truck full of Islamic terrorists. What truck do you not want entering the United States?
Chinese.
We will continue to take direct action against those terrorists who pose the gravest threat to Americans. That's why my administration has worked tirelessly to guide our counterterrorism efforts. Throughout, we have kept Congress fully informed of our efforts.
Do you think President Obama believes that there are Chinese coming over the border through Mexico?
I don't know. I'm not certain, and that is where we may disagree. I'm not certain how much we have to fear Chinese coming across the border.
In this part of the world, we don't have a lot of tourist attractions, but this is one of them. This is an emergency distress beacon. And most people find it curious that it's in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Chinese. And since the last time we were out here, they've even been so nice as to add a 5-gallon bucket of water, courtesy of the United States government. This has been here at least a couple of years. They put it here for a specific reason because this is the point that they travel quite a bit. There are 8 of them along the Texas border.
I'm in marketing, or I used to be in marketing anyway, all right? And I realize the fact that you don't put an ad out unless you are going to hit the masses, okay? All right. I have a question for you. Why do you think that sign should be down along the border in Texas, written in English, written in Spanish, and in Chinese? The government made that, Congressman.
Our government?
Yes. You press a button if you have distress. Has anybody, I mean, you've been in Congress for 22 years, right?
Right.
Okay. Has anybody ever showed you that picture before?
No.
Nobody's ever,
No.
nobody's
No.
ever gone to one of your hearings and said, look at this picture.
No.
No. Marketing 101. Make your advertisements to the people who are going to read them.
We know they're coming in here. We caught a hodgepodge group back out here, 16. Had 2 Asian girls, Chinese. They both spoke English. And both of them paid $50,000 each to come in here.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Then we had, and in that same group, we had at least 3 or 4 Indians and a couple of Pakistanis. I think there was 1 Mexican in the group. That was it.
Am I wrong in saying that the president's #1 job is to keep Americans safe?
Yeah, everything else is secondary to that. Clearly, it's not even that it's the main, it's almost, to me, it's a #1, 2, and 3. Everything else, no matter how important anything else is, health, education, none of that matters if we're dead.
How would you describe President Obama's attitude toward the war on terror?
I would say it's very schizophrenic, damaging, and it's been very frustrating.
So, Congressman, what you're saying is that the #1 job of the President of the United States is being handled in a schizophrenic manner.
Yeah.
So in the months ahead, I will continue to engage Congress to ensure not only that our targeting, detention, and prosecution of terrorists remains consistent with our laws and system of checks and balances, but that our efforts are even more transparent to the American people and to the world. We cannot look back years from now and wonder why we did nothing in the face of real threats to our security and our economy.
Shortly after President Obama's State of the Union address, his administration allowed 2,000 of the most dangerous illegal aliens detained in U.S. prisons to be released into the general public. The White House blamed this on looming budget cuts that would not take effect for another 30 days. Janet Napolitano denies any involvement. I sent an email to the Department of Homeland Security in which I asked, if the funding to detain 2,000 criminals was no longer available, why not release Americans whose sentences were coming to a close in the near future? I did not receive a reply. As of April 2013, the whereabouts and names of the released criminals remain classified.
You know, when I travel the country doing this, I go by myself, and Rory flies and meets me. I drive everywhere. I've put 12,000 miles on my car in the last couple of months going back and forth. This guy rides shotgun with me. Do you know who this guy is?
Sure, George Kane.
George Kane.
Yeah, I know his mother very well, Rosemary Kane. I was at his funeral. I know the family very well.
He fell into my lap. I never met the man. I had no plans to make a They Come to America too, until I met George Kane's sister. Where did you serve? Where did you serve over in the Middle East?
In '91. I was in the first Persian excursion.
What's your feeling about those people, the way that they feel about the U.S.?
They hate us with a passion.
How long do you think it is until we have another 9/11?
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Really?
I tell you what, as soon as they figure out how to get a nuclear device in here, we will lose the city.
Listen, I'm one of the people you saw running from the Twin Towers. That's why I have Never Forget on the back. In fact, I carry this with me. I get chills talking about this. So this guy's name is George Kane. He's a fireman, okay? I was on Neil Cavuto, and I hate saying this, but I was getting my makeup done in the makeup room. And the woman says, why are you here? You know, why are you going on Neil? I said, I made a film about illegal immigration. She says, you know, what do you think of it? I said, I think it's the worst thing that's happening to the country, and nobody's going to be happy until another 9/11 happens. That's when everybody's going to wake up. You see all the stuff going on, you know, overseas right now in Libya? Listen, while you're interviewing me, there's some of them crossing the border right now. They're finding Korans, and they're finding prayer rugs in the desert. Not everybody's coming here to cut your lawn. Some people are coming here to cut your throat. I come out, this woman is standing in the hallway with tears pouring down her eyes. And she says, I need to give this to you. You're the first person who's come here into Fox and tell the truth about what's going on. I don't want to see this happen again. Please carry this. I carry this guy with me no matter where I go. So you know what? I can't forget. I won't forget. And I've had threats of people calling me a racist, the whole 9 yards. But I will not quit. Honestly, I'd like to go take Obama, take him down here, sit him on the border and say, go ahead, sit here for 4 hours. I dare you. You'll never do it. You don't have the balls. When I came home from Fox, I Googled George Kane, and I found the charity scam. Congressman, what's happened to America?
To an outrageous story, relatives of those who died on 9/11 being victimized again, this time by a pair of crooks. For Rosemary Kane, these are the most sacred of memories. Pictures of her son, FDNY firefighter George Kane, who died racing to the Twin Towers on 9/11. Now heartache again as she learns her son's name was used in an alleged scam. Both men accused of creating a fake 9/11 charity that raised tens of thousands of dollars but never went to benefit victims. The men even said they were collecting to benefit the so-called Kane Foundation. Rosemary Kane says no charity bearing her son's name even exists.
He died a hero, and they should hang their heads in shame for tarnishing anything connected to September 11th.
So if we've got people coming up, Junior will let them through. And it'll take them 30 to 45 minutes to make it up to that Caliche Road that we crossed. We call that the 2 line. We'll have guys from the west come over and block. We'll set up here. Some people come up the 40 and help us. And we'll just, you know.
So almost have them like run them into us.
Pretty much. Nice. Pretty much.
When I began reducing crime, everybody told me it was impossible. New York City had had that level of crime for 30 or 35 years. All these things have been tried before. They can't work. It doesn't work. Let's legalize drugs. Let's do this. Let's do that. Stopping illegals from coming across the southwestern border would be easier to do than reducing crime by 70% in New York City, if we had the will to do it. You can hire enough Border Patrol.
Wait, I want to interrupt you because you said an important thing. You said if we had the will to do it.
Absolutely right. We have the will to do it.
And do you believe we have the will to
No.
do it? Why?
Because the president doesn't want to do it.
Why?
I have no idea.
These volunteers and border agents, they're out here in the pitch black, chasing illegal intruders for the sake of keeping Americans safe. And yet, what do they get in return? A kick in the teeth from the people they try to protect. Yeah, the business owner who hires an illegal, and the slimy politician who will lie about the borders in exchange for a cheap vote. They are just as despicable as the 2 swindlers who used George Kane's good name and heroic death as a means of lining their own pockets.
We've got all units now. Everybody's lights on, everybody's blocking. They're coming towards us, and he is pushing them north. You know, if he went due north, he would come out about, probably 1,000 yards to our west.
Roger that. We'll be down in a minute. We need to move this way.
All right.
Charlie, where's Caliche? What's a Caliche?
This is the Caliche. Air element, where at? Shit. Where at on the Caliche?
What you may find interesting about where we're chasing these people, we're not at the border chasing these people, Mayor. We're 100 miles inland.
I don't know how many more of them are out here.
But so why'd they all take off?
Well, I think what they're doing is like running laps.
Because what a huge gap this is.
Yeah, I know. The bottom line is it's a big place, and we're just a few people, and we can't cover the whole gap.
You know what? I'll cover the gap. I'll cover the gap.
We could get somebody to relieve our position. I could take you down there.
We don't have time. I'll just run.
Okay.
Mayor, yes or no answer. I'm a real straight shooting guy. Do you think that there will be another 9/11? in the near
I
future?
can't, straight answer?
Yeah.
I can't rule it out. I can't say yes because there hasn't been one, and I know everything is being done to prevent it, and we're better at it.
Can I push back on you with that?
Yeah.
We found a military cap with Arabic writing inside.
I've got a rider coming your direction.
Mayor, what I'm seeing is frightening. The flow of people coming in is astronomical. How many 9/11s could we sustain?
Awesome. Yeah, 60 plus.
Yeah.
In one group. Yeah. Yeah, it's plenty busy. Y'all brought in 57 and these guys brought in like 60 something?
You guys are pulling a lot in lately, huh?
Oh, it's busy.
Man.
And the point you're making is a very, very important one. When people think of, stopping illegal immigration, somehow it's become an Latino, Hispanic, anti-Latino, anti-Hispanic, it is not anti-Hispanic. It's anti-terrorist and it's anti-drug dealer.
There's no way that guy's from Mexico.
That's typically a lie. They'll claim to be from Mexico, so they just get pushed back into the country so they can come back.
Rory, check out this guy with the blue shirt. He's got his head down. He's from the Middle East.
Contributor, by the way, I like that.
Thank you.
You just recently spent the night sleeping outside of a drug cartel. Have you lost your mind? Why are you sleeping outside of drug cartels, man?
In my first movie, They Come to America, there's a scene where I am told not to go down to a specific place by the US border because right across on the other side is a place called Los Corrales, where they prepare everybody to come over into the US.
You go near there, you're dead. You're dead.
And when you say go near there, what do you mean?
Just approach it.
If I went down to where those tree lines start.
And you walk toward there,
yeah,
you wouldn't make it.
I did not take those warnings. I went close to the Los Corrales and I was chased away and I ran. That didn't sit well with me. I've been thinking about this time and time again, that I didn't get to show the American people really what's taking place. So I just went back and this time I climbed the fence.
How you been?
Oh, working.
This is Dennis.
All right, how's it going?
Nice to meet you.
Doing another documentary, are you?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that's what you guys were doing. I noticed you kept trying to keep the camera off me. I appreciate it.
I'm contemplating the idea of going through into Mexico.
Have fun. Are you carrying a weapon?
I would be.
If you're in the river, walking up the river, and you got a weapon, I'm sure you heard about Ivy.
Of course I did.
So,
yeah.
They're scouts. Scouts. 90% of every day in the year getting dope and people into the U.S.
There's always a possibility somebody up in the tree. I'm always watching these trees. I hate this position.
This one. Because you know what's right there.
And so when the sun goes down, I get away from the river just because it's personal safety.
Yeah. I feel terrible that you don't have the resources that you should be getting. I think you're sitting ducks at here.
I don't know how that's going to change unless we get a different administration.
Well.
Somebody's talking back there. Hear him? Something moving around back there. That's what I mean about opening your ears up so you can hear that stuff.
You gotta hear it, yeah.
The guy on the horse is pretty typical because that's a scout, and he'll ride the horse down around the border and act like a Mexican cowboy.
Yeah, there's a guy who's talking to.
Well, that's all cartel now.
John Ladd has lived across from Los Corrales his entire life. He has been interviewed by the media more than 80 times, including every major television network and every major newspaper across the country.
Let's see how many Border Patrol we have in the busiest sector in the U.S.
All right.
How many miles we just drive?
8.
This is crazy that you're out here by yourself in 8 miles of stretch. I just heard guys back in the woods back at the river clearly coming through because the other agent said, look, there's people in there. They told us to leave. And I'm going down this whole stretch and there's nobody here. Why? And I know it's not your fault. Please, I want to say it over and over again.
He's on our side.
I'm on your side.
No, I understand.
You're the first one that's done this, by the way.
Well, maybe you want to know why? Because I'm the only one who wants to see the thing get fixed. Are you not pissed off that you're out here by yourself?
I can't really comment on that stuff, but...
Well, you should comment on it, because you know why? You want to be the next Ivy or the next Brian Terry?
All of my media events, Dennis is the first one that says, I'm going to film it.
This is when they're coming.
The little pink 2-story house is surveilling the border 24 hours a day. This is the Border Patrol's access to the border.
And is that why we have 3 Border Patrol right there?
Yes.
And is this a crossing right there?
The port of entry is just right in front of us there.
All right, can we go up there?
Yeah.
So all those kids just went to school in Naco, America. And now they're going to go back to Naco, Mexico. How does that happen?
All you need is a P.O. box. Nobody checks it. And if you don't reside in the country, you don't have any business going to our schools unless you pay tuition, and none of them are paying tuition. And I'm going to go.
Okay.
Naco's border, the Naco station has 32.6 or 7 miles of border. So would you estimate there's probably 200 vehicles there?
Yeah.
I don't understand why we have so many vehicles, parked at the station. I've asked this question for years, and I never get an answer. But it sees absolutely nothing in the river because of the trees and the terrain.
So that camera sees absolutely nothing inside the tree line by Los Corrales.
Right. The light-colored concrete building is the safe house type situation. The square building to the east of that is just all dope. It's just a great big open building.
Has there been more crossings?
They've got a whole bunch of stuff trying to cross.
Yeah.
The majority of it's getting through.
Yeah.
It's a joke, it really is.
Is it true that they're really cutting you guys? I hear that they're cutting, making cuts.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Is that a different MSS on Deer Point than we've had?
It seems like to me that it's just like every other one that we have.
Yeah, I think that's one of the better tools.
But when Boeing was trying to sell it to us, they had it just
Yeah.
running perfect. And now that we bought it, now we do the maintenance on it. And it's a bunch of guys that don't give a shit. And now, you know, the radars are off and everything. And, you know, and now they know where they're at. I guess they're using shields and stuff, or wrapping up in tarps.
Oh, man.
You know, so even with the infrared, you're not going to pick it up. You know, I don't know really how you win.
Start with getting rid of Janet.
Well, the rhetoric is so disconnected from reality that it's sometimes hard to see that they're talking about the same thing. We talk about border defense, and then very fundamentally don't do the most elementary thing that I think any law enforcement officer would do if he was trying to defend against an organized criminal attack, and that is try to deprive them of their assets, deprive them of their money. But it's not being done with any kind of vigilance against the cartels.
Why do you believe that's the case?
You know, I really don't have a good, pat answer.
Hello, how you doing, sir?
How's it going?
U.S. citizen, sir?
Yes, I am.
Have a good one.
And for those 3 days, I studied everything about the Border Patrol. I didn't have my car. I borrowed somebody else's car with Arizona plates. It's a terrible looking car. I looked like a dirtbag. I hadn't shaved. Sunglasses with a camera right there. How many people do you think said to me, can you pull over? How many people do you think said to me, can I see your ID?
What's going on, bro?
Take care, man.
How many people think said, what's your first and last name? 0. And I went home and I took a look at my footage to see where things were. I put my mind as if I were a terrorist.
Here's the problem in trying to think like they do. Unlike trying to think like a mafia member or a corrupt businessman or a corrupt politician, now you're going to have to start thinking about a crook who says, how do I steal your money? I don't care if I get caught. So now you got to go into a different realm.
Oh, there's one in here now?
Yes.
Yeah, because I could feel.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
And it's on top of that green?
Yep. No, you don't have to do
I don't
anything.
have to do that again?
No.
No, it just automatically does it.
Yeah. I think you're hitting high, maybe. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to get way more familiar with your gun. The drug people don't come one at a time.
I just watched a video the other day of some crazy nut job from one of these terrorist organizations. Do you talk about anthrax and things like, you know, small devices that could come in here and cause big harm?
Unfortunately, only a small number of people do it. We can have all the technology in the world. We can have the strongest military in the world. It's not going to stop terrorists from infiltrating the country. The way you stop it, yeah, technology is important, but intelligence. You get intelligence from having a CIA that doesn't have its hands tied. CIA interrogators all took out liability insurance because they're afraid of being sued by their own governments for being too heavy-handed in their interrogations. The only way you're going to really know about anthrax is if somebody overseas is interrogated, or somebody in this country is spotted by the NYPD or the FBI before...
Or at the border.
Or at the border, exactly.
That's where they're going to bring it in.
Yeah.
For the last 4 years, President Obama has excluded ICE officers and agents from all input on immigration reforms, as well as ICE and DHS arrest policies. With 11 million illegal aliens in the U.S., ICE agents are now prohibited from arresting illegal aliens solely on charges of illegal entry or visa overstay, the two most frequently violated sections of U.S. immigration law. Agents report that if they encounter suspected illegal aliens in the public, they cannot arrest them. Secretary Napolitano describes these new policies as smart and effective. I can assure you they are neither, and the interior of the U.S. is not secure.
He said that had this law been in place on September 10th, 2001, and had they gotten those visa violators, those 19 people who brought those buildings down, they would not have been able to do anything.
And my wife said to me, I was listening to your show this morning. Did he say he's going to really go into Mexico act like an illegal, and then come back, and then get, I said, yes. She said, what's wrong with his wife? So, what's wrong with your wife?
Yeah, hi, is this Border Patrol? Yeah, hi. If I see somebody crossing, I'm actually out doing some filming. Do I call this number?
Yes, you do.
I do. Okay. Even if it's a single person?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and how long do you usually respond?
Depends on the location. Where exactly are you?
Well, I'd rather not say. The reason why I'm going to do that, to make people understand that you can get through this border very easily, and you could go anywhere and do whatever it is that you want to do. And I'd rather be home right now. My wife hasn't had power for days, but I can't forget the people who died on 9/11. I can't forget about the people who don't get jobs because they don't speak Spanish. I cannot forget. The day I quit doing this, I do more than quit on myself. I quit on you. That I can't live with.
We just turned back some narcotics south, so just be careful. And when I got to this point, they were already climbing the fence.
God.
Possible there's some more over here.
How many were there?
5, 5 or 6.
Yeah. But they had backpacks, is that what you? Yeah.
Well, you be careful.
But they're there. They probably went to that little house. Yeah. No, I mean, I just let you know.
No, I appreciate it.
So.
Mm-hmm.
No.
How about the traffic? Has the traffic been picking up again?
They know the trend. They know.
Oh, yeah.
They know we flags for a while and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know Nick, right?
Yeah. And I don't believe it's friendly fire.
A part of me doesn't either, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Why is it that these cartels create such a problem?
They have a combination of security observers that will give them real-time, accurate information about where every Border Patrol agent is deployed.
God damn, he was going pretty good too.
Oh, there he is. He's going into that spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I got him.
That's where he's going. So you think they're probably doing a regroup on how it is they're going to get these things through?
But when they're this close to the river doing what they're doing and jumped across and then went back, it's going to happen today.
It took 19 people to execute 9/11.
Right.
Nowadays, don't you think it could just maybe take 1 or 2 to create terror across a country
Sure,
in one day?
sure. Here's what hasn't happened. There's something about September 11th that helped us in terms of it's not being repeated. And that is, I believe that they want to do an incident that is as big or bigger than that. They want to go one step further. That's hard.
I'll push back on you for the second time. I don't think. I think those people are the sickest bastards in the world that are willing to wait and wait and wait and wait. I think it's either going to be on the trains because they're wide open, or it's going to be a series of these people who are all across the country right now, and they're going to pull out little tiny attacks that get us in the heart.
4 أرطال من الأنثراكس 4 أرطال جنطة هالكبرها يشيلها واحد فدائي ويدخلها من أنفاق مكسيكو إلى الولايات المتحدة كفيلة بقتل 330 ألف أمريكي في ساعة واحدة. يعني 11 سبتمبر تطلع زلاطة عند الموضوع هذا. ما في داعي طيارات وشكبانات ومواعيد وقصة من المؤامرات والتوقيتات. واحد عنده من البسالة اللي يدخل معاه 4 أرطال من الأنثراكس ويكت عليهم النون هذا، صح ولا لا؟ تصير المسألة طماشة هناك.
Do you believe, from a military perspective, that we are the most powerful nation
Yeah,
on Earth?
absolutely, yes we are.
Absolutely?
Absolutely.
Then why do we allow the drug cartels to continue to create havoc on this country? Why do we let them continue to bring drugs into this country, smuggle human beings, laborers who affect the job market, and now work with terrorist organizations? Why do we allow that to happen? Why don't we just take these guys out?
I think the main reason is political correctness. I've been speaking out against this for years.
Political correctness? See, I can't grab that. Who
I have a
are we
hard
being
time.
politically correct to? The drug cartels?
It would be people who are saying, believe me, this is not me saying it, this is what I hear.
I'm not attacking you, I just can't.
By us talking about going after drug cartels coming across the border, they would say that's just a euphemism being anti-Mexican, anti-Hispanic, anti-immigrant, that we're using drug cartels as an excuse we have to immigrants. I agree with you. I think it's totally misguided, but that is, they would say the issue of consolidating immigration, reforming immigration, that would take priority over these drug cartels.
When you see Janet Napolitano get on television and say that the borders are more secure than ever before, what is your reaction?
The question is, are we protected against the level of threat that the cartels pose in today's environment? And the answer to that is no, we're not. The border has been porous to some of the most dangerous criminals in the world. I think that's generally unappreciated in the United States. They are survivalists, they're very well supported, and they are as good or better than anybody in the world at what they do.
Yes or no? Are they watching us better than we're watching them?
Oh, undoubtedly. And they've got the absolute strategic advantage because we're playing defense. We have to try to cover 2,000 miles of border. They're playing offense. All they have to find is a 2-minute window between observers on the borders. And if they can do that and move their illegal load across, they're home free. Home free. Home free.
So now you get on the auto train. You have your Jeep and you have what looks like bombs in the back, things that you made to try to draw attention.
That's good. We're going to ask you to leave the window down.
Okay.
Turn it off. Leave us a key.
Okay.
Take whatever you're taking on the train. Go in and check in.
All right, great.
All right. Have a good trip. Make sure you turn it off.
They start taking a look at my truck on the outside, videotaping it.
Right.
And you know why, right?
Well, they want to protect themselves in case there's any damage. Right. Or you make a false claim. They say, hey, that was there. We got it on tape.
Yeah. Now, one person looked in the back of my Jeep.
And it wasn't hidden or covered or anything.
No.
What's that thing? What's that thing?
It's just a point.
Oh, okay. Say again? Thank you, you too.
Nobody stopped me. But then what made it worse, and what makes it really scary, not one person asked me for identification.
Yeah, got it. All right, baby, you have this folder like this for me?
No, I left it in my car. Guess I need
What
that.
was your auto number?
296 maybe?
296, I'll write it in the new one, baby.
Thank you.
All right, we already started boarding.
Okay.
So you're gonna go out that train boarding door.
Okay.
To the left, you're gonna look for that car right there, 5345 room 13.
And they don't check inside of the bag. Nobody checks inside of your bag. They just let you get on the train.
In fact, the rules for Amtrak is that you can only bring on 2 bags. Well, I got 4 bags. I'm breaking the rules. And I'm purposely dropping my bags. So this way, it's like you shouldn't have that many bags. Nobody says anything.
And 13 is into the right.
I've got a 9mm Glock, and I've got a semi-automatic rifle. They're only BB guns with no BBs.
They don't have much security on these trains.
It's kind of like an airplane.
I mean, nobody checked my bags or anything like that when I came in. That's not like an airplane.
Amtrak is recognized as being the longest passenger train in the world. We'll have a total of 393 passengers on board. So again, for those number takers, we have 393 passengers and a total of 216 vehicles on board with an onboard crew of 27 with a 2 engineers and conductors throughout the train.
Mayor, seriously, is there any vote that's really worth national security?
Well, I don't believe that just saying amnesty, amnesty, amnesty is going to get Republicans any more voters than they have right now. To get the Hispanic vote, we've got to go into the Hispanic community and explain to people in the Hispanic community how our solutions work for them better than Democratic solutions. And I think it works if we make things understandable to people.
We will become citizens and we will vote.
We're working for registered vote, Latino registered vote, and the people is learning every day. The future we have the first president Latino.
I believe in mass amnesty. Everybody keeps avoiding to legalize undocumented individuals. And I just think it's hypocritical. You know, and now you're eating chips and salsa and tacos, right? Whatever happened to the hot dogs and hamburgers, right?
So your mom came over the Mexican border and she in theory snuck in,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Do you feel as if that's a crime?
Not necessarily. I think my mother came here for a better life, and I think people have a right for a better life.
So you want to pick and choose your own laws?
Well, I believe that some laws are correct and some laws are right, some laws are wrong. But just because there's a law doesn't mean it's right. I would probably use the Obama's characterization of it. It's a misguided policy. My mother, for example, she worked 9, 10 hours a day, got home to our family, and it was just difficult for her to go to college or go to a community school. It's just very difficult when you have people are working hard, and they get home really tired. Because of my mother, the sacrifices she's made in her life, I'm able to be a U.S. citizen.
Can I give you a dose of honesty?
Oh, yes.
That's my job, okay? Whether you believe a law makes sense or not doesn't matter. It's the law.
Right.
I have no doubt your mother is a hard worker, okay? But you're not a citizen because of that. You're a citizen because that's what the law provides you. And the reason why you have a country to call home is because for centuries, men and women have laid their lives down, lost their arms, lost their legs, taken bullets. My father, one of them, in defending our freedom. Amnesty, although great for your mom, hurts tens of millions of Americans. And it puts my kids and your kids' future at risk. I have not met a person across this country who said they hate Latinos, but I've met many people who said they resent how it is that you're getting special treatment. Now, I'll ask you again, because you seem like a good guy. Did your mother break the law?
By the letter of the law, she did. By the letter of the law, she did.
Okay. Obama.
Yeah.
Okay, because you referenced Obama. Obama and the people who think like Obama, what they do is they pigeonhole you. Right now, you're at the top of the list. Even if you get what you want, you're going to end up with nothing. Especially such a hardworking community like the Latino community. Believe me, I have seen firsthand how they make promises and then they just walk away and they forget you're there.
How do you think it is that President Obama has handled the Sandy storm?
Did a terrible job.
Terrible.
To broaden opportunity, to grow our middle class, to restore our democracy, to make sure that no matter who you are or where you come from or how you started out, you can make it here in America. That's why we are moving forward.
When is the government coming?
They're sending their mobile units tonight, right?
With gas? We need gasoline.
Here to Miller Field, right here.
With gasoline, you're going to bring food and gasoline and clothes? Yeah. You don't understand. You've got to get your trucks here on this corner now.
We are trying
this
to
is
get the
3
Red
days.
Cross to come.
We got 90-year-old people.
No, right out of
Please.
Napolitano.
And gasoline to run generators. Bring us generators. Bring us something to get heat. We're going to freeze.
People were starving and thirsty and couldn't get food, couldn't get water.
But please, President Obama, please listen to us down here. We are going to die. You don't understand.
He got his photo op and then he basically checked out. He went back campaigning, paid no attention.
Sir, please don't leave us. I'm going to live alone down here. Don't leave us.
We won't.
The day I was there was the morning after a nor'easter. And I went there really because we were really worried how much more damage would this nor'easter do. The FEMA office was closed for the day. FEMA wasn't even a participant. And FEMA he's responsible for. This comes about because the President of the United States is not available.
And if you're willing to work with me and knock on some doors with me and make some phone calls for me, if you're willing to turn out for me and grab some friends and neighbors for me, we'll win Nevada again. We'll win this election. And together, we'll renew the bonds and reaffirm the spirit that make the United States of America the greatest nation on earth. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Do you think he'll go down as the worst president of all time?
He's certainly been, in my lifetime, the most divisive president.
I was speaking on behalf of the country when I said we are going to be here until the rebuilding is complete, and I meant it. And so I'm going to come back in the future to make sure that we have followed through on that commitment.
Nearly 6 months after Hurricane Sandy's devastating impact, thousands of people remain without heat, electric, or FEMA relief. Senators John McCain, Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, members of the Gang of Eight, voted against an aid bill to help the victims, many of which are elderly and first responders.
Hey, guy. I gotta get something right where you guys are going. I don't want it to get crushed. Yeah, thanks.
I was not here for Sandy, and I came back. And I went to Breezy Point, and I seen my father's neighborhood destroyed. When I watched the government not take care of these people, I don't care if there's pork in there or not, my first thing is we will fund and go crazy to try to get reform. And yet, while we're sitting here and Marines and firemen can't get heat because they can't get anybody in there to help them, what do you say? What do you say to that?
This was a 99% absolutely necessary bill, and yet it was held up. That wouldn't have happened if it was a foreign aid bill. It wouldn't have happened if it was some compassionate issue.
It's amazing because, you know, it's still like day one. It's still like day one. I came down last night it was 19 degrees in my house. We're American citizens here. And as for our president, shame on you. You went away to Hawaii while I, my neighbors, and the middle class and the victims of Sandy were freezing.
Well, there was one pier by Staten Island at like 6:30. Everybody was out in the pier. They were double, triple parked.
Wow.
They were all out in the pier watching the thing, and about 20 minutes later, the pier's gone.
Yeah.
So where were all these people?
Gone.
And I'm sure you can see it with the sand and everything the way it is. They're probably buried in the sand.
Oh, yeah.
As of April 15th, 2013, contrary to his promise, President Obama has failed to return to New York to check on the victims. He did, however, return to Nevada in January. The one-day trip cost taxpayers $1.8 million.
It is good to be back in Las Vegas. I'm here today because the time has come for common sense, comprehensive immigration reform. The time is now.
I mean, they are finding bodies. They are finding more bodies now.
In your 22 years being in Congress, how would you describe where we are right now as a country? I mean, is this the worst you've ever seen?
I would say right now it is because there's a total division between the parties, and for my interest in many of the key issues I care about, we're losing ground.
We are.
Yeah.
We're losing ground in the war on terror.
I believe we are, yeah.
And he was leaving to go back to the city. He had to go to work. He had a blue truck, a pickup truck, and I can still see the truck going down the road, and that was the last time I saw him. They knew what they were getting into that morning, and when they were in the Marriott Hotel, they were evacuating some of the guests. Unfortunately, when the North Tower came down, it took out one part of it, and when the South Tower came down, it took out the other part of it, so the building was totally obliterated. And any time that I was there and I'd see a remains, I would just, oh, please God, let it be Georgie, please God, let it be George. But that to me is my miracle. I thank God every day that we had recovery and we were able to lay him to rest.
When I came in here, the first thing you asked me was, well, what made you call me?
Yeah.
I often speak about how I feel that members of the military, people like your son, police officers, Border Patrol agents, those people who are sacrificing their lives in one way or another, through death or not, my father being one of them, who's a Marine, that every time that we let another person just skate on through the border and God knows where they're going, that we're disrespecting those people in a way that people don't really comprehend.
If you go past any national cemetery, but you just see the rows and the rows and the rows, and the price that has been paid, the sacrifices and the blood that has been spilled to make this country great, and now it's being chipped away. Our economy is being chipped away, our safety, our security. Kids can't even go out and play in the streets anymore. And I see on the television, and they're taking videos of all these people sneaking across the borders. And I say to myself, why? What's wrong with us? Did they all die in vain? Oh, I'm his mother. I don't want him to be forgotten.
This memorial forces us to remember, but we don't need any more memorials. This is enough.
We owe it to them. People can't forget September 11th. That's the whole thing. You become complacent and it's going to happen again. Do you want to be walking in my shoes in 2 years or in 5 years? We have people that hate us and they want to murder Americans. And to see people becoming indifferent to prosecuting or to national security because it didn't happen to them, they don't understand it. And they just don't get it. And they want to forget about it because it's unpleasant. Of course it's unpleasant, but you can't forget about it.
Look at this, Dennis. Vanessa Langer and her unborn child.
3,000 people died that day, and people know that. The history books will know that. But they're not going to know George.
There's no way your son, George, is going to be forgotten. He goes with me everywhere.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, I don't talk to my father, so I always think of, like, you know, if this guy was really riding shotgun with me, he'd be like, you got to fix that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a tough question, but I think it's important for people to hear it. If you were given just 30 seconds to see George one more time, what would you say?
I would tell him thank you. I would hug him and I would say to him, thank you.
On September 11th, you folks were probably here in North Carolina or somewhere, and you watched on television the greatest hit on our country. I watched that event like this. I saw people jumping for their lives from 80 stories high. What makes somebody do that? What makes somebody jump out a window? Do you think they were thinking about their school taxes? Or whether or not they had a low co-payment? Or whether or not their job was secure? No. What they thought about was the fact that they were not going to see their loved ones ever again. And they knew their life was coming to an end. And as they jumped out that window, they probably asked themselves, why? And I hate to be so brutally honest, because I know sometimes the truth is hard to digest. But until we start facing this problem the way it needs to be faced, it's just going to be a bunch of talk. I am tired of hearing political BS.
Those, the senators, the Gang of Eight, they call them.
Right, Gang of Eight, yeah.
If I were to invite the Gang of Eight to a meeting room where we would give a presentation on the other side of, so to say, of presenting amnesty as an option, do you think they'd show up?
No, they'd say you're small-minded. Really, that would be it. I mean, somehow they think that inherently you're a bigot, you're discriminating, and you don't want immigrants in the country, especially Hispanic immigrants. That's the way they would look at it.
They would?
Yes.
My biggest regret has always been the day I quit on that baseball glove. I've thought about it for 28 years. I won't make the same mistake twice.
This is a piece of the steel from the World Trade Center, and it was given to me by a firefighter shortly after September 11th. And I wouldn't part with it. It's been hanging inside for 11 years. But I want you to have it. I want you to take this with you and know that 3,000 angels will be with you.
Hey, glad to have you here. News Radio 1200 WOAI. It's the Joe Pag Show. My friend Dennis Michael Lynch will be visiting us in San Antonio after he stops in D.C. And wait until you hear what he has to say about the new immigration bill and the Boston terror attack. Tell me this, when will the politicians wake up?
Hey, Dad. How's it going?
Sorry this happened to you.
Yeah, shit happens, man.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Well, look, I haven't seen you in a while.
Look like you lost weight.
Marco, did you answer one question?
I gotta get on the plane.
Scale of 1 to 10, the border security right now. Come on. As a 9/11 survivor, will you please give me the dignity? On a scale of 1 to 10 right now, 10 being good, 1 being bad.
The current border.
The current border is a what? Because I heard you tell Mike Brown upstairs 6 out of 9 are secure.
It depends on which sector we're talking about.
No,
Some
as a
sectors are
whole.
completely- Well, as a whole, that's one of the problems. We don't know.
Just give me 1 to 10, Marco. Come on,
It's
man to man.
impossible. I can't give you 1 to 10 because we don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. what-
I know, Marco. It's bad, man.
It is bad,
It's
but
bad.
that's
It's a 1.
Okay, then it's a
And the
1.
only sector that's good is
That's
you,
why
Mike.
we have to fix it.
All right, good answer. The way to duck it.
We have not had a president in quite some time who is giving the American people what they want. Do you really believe that people want free cell phones? Was America built by people sitting on a porch? No. But you know what he's doing? He's giving more and giving more for free. He's burying these people. And in 4 years from now, when he's done, we're going to need somebody who's willing to use their hands and dig those people out.
Where's the Congress?
They're all worried about their next election. We need a person who's no longer thinking about politics. We need somebody who represents the majority of people in this country.
What is your future, Dennis Lynch?
And on that,